Thanks to the Talk Python team who sponsored this episode of the Engineered Mind podcast. If you want to learn Python and delve into exciting topics like data science, web development, or building apps, feel free to visit talkpython.fm/mind to find your next level and get a 10% discount. Also a big thank you to all my patrons who support the Engineered Mind podcast. Hi and welcome to the Engineered Mind podcast. In this podcast we cover topics such as engineering, artificial intelligence, neuroscience and other interesting topics to educate, inspire and engineer people's minds all around the world. I'm your host Joseph, and for this episode of the podcast I'm happy to have Ferran Martí on my show. Ferran is currently in his last year of his mechanical engineering degree and was part of the group of students that founded the EUSS Motorsport Formula Student team from their university back in 2017. They are currently developing their third prototype. Ferran is literally a massive petrolhead and highly passionate about racing. In this podcast we discussed how to start a Formula Student team from scratch, what you have to take care of when building a team, what software their team uses, how to get collaborations on board, and many other interesting aspects. For updates on upcoming podcasts, projects and videos, make sure to follow me on Twitter as well as on Instagram. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's my podcast with Ferran Martí. Ferran, welcome to my podcast. Yeah. Very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
You're like a
Thank
guru.
You very much.
You're like a guru when it comes to Formula Student, and we'll get to that right now. Maybe you can talk to the audience a bit and tell what you have done in the past and what your connection to the Formula Student team is.
Sure, yeah. Well, my name is Ferran. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Barcelona. And now I'm on my final year of my mechanical engineering degree. And on the second year, we decided to create a Formula Student team in our university. So we've done 2 prototypes already, and this season we're doing our third prototype. And I just really enjoyed being a part of the Formula Student community, because it's, like, for me, an experience to enhance my abilities as an engineer, but also I've gotten to know a lot of companies from the automotive sector, which are really important. And also you get like a new perspective on how to approach working dynamics when working with people. So it's been like a really great experience for me. And also we've made really good colleagues, and we've met people from around the world, and the competition itself is really, and you see the people are really enthusiastic about, trying to be better engineers and competing against each other. There's a lot of also respect in between teams. And yeah, it's a discipline that I would thoroughly recommend to anybody that can join it, because it's really great.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. We want to jump straight into the process of having or being in a Formula Student team. Let's say someone is completely new and they want to get started into a Formula Student team. Maybe you can kind of outline the process, how it began for you at least.
Well, this is what happened to our group in the university actually, because one guy from another team from our country came into university and talked about Formula Student, and we didn't know what it was. I mean, some people knew what it was, but we didn't have a team. So the guys that were more interested into Formula Student, we said, why don't we think about creating a team? And then we talked to the university to see if we would have their support. And they told us they already had tried, not Formula Student specifically, but other similar projects. And they didn't really succeed in our university. So they wanted to support us, but it was really difficult for them to trust us, because it's a lot of resources that go into a project like this. So it was really difficult to get started trusting like companies into investing into the project. But then we spoke to other teams on how to get started, because from the day zero you have like, I don't know, 7-8 months to design a car. And we sat there and, okay, how do we design a car? Nobody knows anything about designing cars. So it took a lot of research, which is like the mainly thing that Formula team does, because you have to like create your own unique design, because you cannot copy straight up from other team and do it, because it's not going to work, and it's not engineering per se. So the approach was the first. We had what I would recommend the most to a team that wants to get started from a student is that you have to set clear goals on what you want for your first season. Our main goal for the first season for us was to have a running car and then to pass technical inspection. So that was for us like the main objective, no matter what. Like we had to make a lot of compromises in terms of how good the car would perform or the organization within the team, but we knew that by the summer we wanted to have a car that was running and a car that would pass technical inspection at competition. So having those two main goals, we had to say, okay, what are the resources that we have available to reach those goals? For example, one main supporter was our university, but also all the companies that work with our university, because it's like a market for us to go reach out to companies. So we talked to the companies that work with our university, and some of them were interested in the project and some of them were not interested. The hard thing for a first year team is you have to sell an idea, because you go out to companies and, hey, here I have my idea and this is what I want to make. But if you are like a running team, here's what I did last year and here's what I want to improve. So selling a 3D design wasn't easy because you don't have anything tangible to show to companies that you can sell. So it's like our guys at the management that like control the management of the team, like sponsorships and social media, really had to put a lot of work into making the whoever wanted to invest in our project, making them believe that it was viable, and we would not only they would get something out of investing in our project, but we would also become better engineers. So I think setting clear objectives and goals is really, really important.
Now I want to talk to the audience also about the advantages, first of all, and then also the disadvantages of like being in a Formula Student team. Let's start with the advantages. What would you say?
The advantages, first of all, if you like, not only it's mainly focused on people that like the automotive industry's cars, racing, because you're building your own race car, basically. So if you like race cars, I think is the ultimate hobby for you, because we take it as a hobby at the end of the day, which is amazing. But apart from that, more into like your career, for example, I will start my internship with a company that sponsored us. So for me, it's been like a huge opportunity to like develop my career. And a lot of people also have started internships at companies that work with Formula Students. So it helps you develop as an engineer, as a student. You get a lot of knowledge. And the disadvantages, well, it's a lot of time put into it, because at the end of the day, you're making a car and there's a lot of hours and lots of meetings and discussions. And yeah, but at the end of the day, it pays off. I mean, for example, for me, I am one of the drivers this year. So for me to be able to drive my own race car, which I have developed, I have worked for so many, many months. And it's like, I don't know, all the hard work and thinking and everything that's been into it, like it pays off. And not only for me, but for all the team, because we are 53 team members this year. So it's like seeing the car on track is like a huge, huge success and sense of pride for the team. So it's really challenging, because there are times, for example, the designing phase is really intense because we have really tight deadlines. So if we don't meet those deadlines, like the car will be pushed further into closer to competition date. So we will have less time of testing, which is not great, really. So it's intense, but it's satisfying at the end.
For you, it's not like a hobby, but more like a life, like a passion, right?
Yeah. It became a passion when we realized we enjoyed doing it. So we built like a really strong team, and we were friends basically, and that allowed us to have fun whilst working on the car. But also we took it seriously, which is the most important thing.
That's so cool to hear. Let's say a team wants to get started, so they have absolutely no resources. So they started from the very bottom, like you did. What would you recommend for them to do? What was the biggest bottlenecks for you, for instance?
First, I mean, if you start a team, you're obviously, because you're in a university, right? So the main thing is to convince your university they have to be the promoters for you like the first couple of years, because they're like your dad. So they are the only ones that can show you what you can do. And basically they form you as an engineer. So if you develop something that you've got the knowledge from the university, they know that you can develop something great. So first of all, creating contact with all the companies that work with your university, because you can really get some good knowledge from them and resources. And then having your team has to believe that you are capable of doing something, because if you set too of a high, like a really, really non-approachable goal on the first year, it is most likely to be like, for example, I've met teams that they're on their third year and they still haven't had a running car, which for us is like, wow, 3 years without having a car running. And we did on the first year because we did, like we said, really clear what our goals were. So really, like, you have to be determined, like whatever your goals are, you have to go for it. And in terms of how to reach out companies, which is the main, I mean, after all, these cars are sponsored by companies and the university itself. So the guys that are in charge of going to the meetings with those companies have to really show them that not only your team is capable of doing such a project, which is building a car, but you have to put them in a win-to-win situation. Because if you only present them as, okay, I want your money because I want to build a race car, they don't see any profit from that. So you have to present them, okay, you're going to invest in our race car, but at the end you're going to get, I don't know, two, three engineers that are potential workers for your company in the near future. And for a lot of companies, that is like a big, okay, I'm attracted to that idea of some engineers coming to my company. And that's the two basic ideas that I would recommend to any team getting started.
Yeah, that's cool. Super cool tips, Ferran. What would you say, what were the biggest bottlenecks? I know that every part has its bottlenecks, but bringing everything together, what would you say are like the top 5 or so bottlenecks when it comes to developing a car?
Developing a car, first of all, would be knowing, getting the right theoretical knowledge, let's say, because there's a lot of research and development done not only in the automotive industry, but also in racing. So for us, if you're building your first prototype, my advice would be make it simple, build this car, and then you're going to make it fast once it's built. That's how we approach it. Like, we created our first car. It wasn't as fast as we wanted. It wasn't as great as we imagined it to be, but we made so little changes from our first prototype to the second that the performance advantage was huge, was completely different. And we only changed a few things that we noticed weren't great. So it's definitely taking it easy, step by step. Bottlenecks, I would consider the theoretical, the fundamentals of the car, and then the 3D design, which is quite difficult because there's a lot of components in the car. So that also, at least for us, it took the first time, it took a lot of work. And then the manufacturing, which also requires a lot of different companies from related to the automotive industry.
Yeah.
And also it takes a lot of time because at the end of the day, you're building yourself your car. So you're as you get closer to the fabrication stages, you realize how many more resources you need that you didn't plan on the first part. So you need to adapt to like on the stage that you're on, and also try to predict what's coming. For example, if you have already manufactured your car and you have to go to testing, you have to have enough spare parts for the car in case it breaks. You have to have contacts within the industry to know where to get those replacements, which in a race car is not like the common thing that you can go down the street. So, and most of the components are custom built, so it's really difficult to find something standard on the market.
Yeah, I see. What I want to ask you is, when I ask you now what would your team need, or when I ask other teams what would you need, they always, or sometimes ask, not always, for monetary supplies in terms of money.
Yeah.
But do you think money is the most important thing when it comes to developing a car?
It sounds like it is, because when you see the numbers, they are quite big. So the easiest way someone would like to get on a sponsorship would be to get money, because that is the fastest and easiest way. But for example, we have a lot of really important sponsors in our team, which they don't add any money at all, but they put a lot of their own resources, which is a lot of money for them, but it's not physically money speaking. So also software is really important, because at the end it's engineering. So you need to study your designs and make sure they're feasible and they work correctly. So you need a certain amount of money, because at the end of the day there are parts that you have to buy. But there's I would say money is from 30 to 40% of the budget of the whole project, and all the other things are software. A company not only sometimes can give you, I don't know, their own products, but can also give you contacts to other companies that they can maybe provide you things that you may need. So it's creating it's making a network of contacts that you can reach out to the most people as possible and try to get them involved in your project. So yeah, it takes a good team of people to do it, because they need to work a lot and work for it. So yeah,
there's also a lot of responsibility to a single person, but also the whole entity, right, of the Formula Student team. One for all and everybody for one person, so to speak.
Exactly. One thing that people do not often realize, for example, when somebody came to us and said, hey, I want to join the team, but I study, because in our university we have mechanical engineering, electrical, electronics, and industrial organization.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, I'm studying industrial organization, but I don't think I can fit in a racing team, because it's developing a race car. But all of the people that reach out to companies to plan meetings, to sponsor us, are people from the industrial organization degree. So it's crucial for us to have those people in our team to make the project feasible, because at the end of the day, if you have a design of the car but you cannot make it doesn't work. So it's really important to get people from different fields to fulfill what it's needed for this project.
Mm-hmm. You having been a team leader, do you have a rough overview of what software you have used, like MATLAB? I'm not sure. Maybe you can go a little bit into detail.
Yeah. Well, this year I'm using MATLAB as a personal level, because I'm doing my thesis.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on MATLAB. So within the team we're also using MATLAB, but I personally use it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a lot for my thesis. But in terms of other softwares, we use, for example, SolidWorks for 3D design. And for example, the guys at the electronics department, they also use a lot of specific softwares that they were provided with to design the whole electric harness, for example. Also, SimScale for aerodynamics simulation.
Yeah.
I cannot remember more, but I'm sure there are more softwares that are involved into the project.
Now, if you look back, in the beginning, what would you have made different when you look back? Do you think you would have done everything the same, or do you think the way how I have done it was okay. Everything worked out at the end.
I mean, as in every situation, there's some things that I would have liked to do in a different way because, you know, everyone has that part of within himself that says, okay, maybe if I change that, the results would have been better. But at the same time, I'm also like, me on a personal level and also the team as a group, we're really proud of how far we've come because starting from zero and now we're on to our third prototype, for us is like a dream come true, basically. Like on our first year, I said that our goal was to have a running car and pass technical inspection, and we did that. On our second year, our goal was we did 2 competitions, and our goal for the second competition was to take part in all the dynamic events, which we did, and we ended up being the 4th Spanish teams out of 12. And for us, for a second year prototype, that's like, I don't know, for us was really crazy. Like we didn't expect it at all. But it's been a good 3 years, which I have definitely enjoyed, and I would really love to like still be in touch like with the Formula Student team at my university to give them advice and to help them, because at the end of the day, I've just really enjoyed being part of the team. And Formula Student, I would recommend it to everyone that has access to, because I don't know, it's a great experience.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. And also, I think once you join, or if you want to join the Formula Student team, you need to have the vision and the fascination for automotive somehow. Otherwise, it's like just having a hobby. And I'm not sure if that's the right thing for you. Maybe just to pass time and to network around. But I think if you have the fascination, because as you said earlier on, there was a team that didn't have a car for 3 years in a row. I think you cannot say that they were passionate. Maybe some of them were, but the whole entity wasn't that driven, maybe.
Exactly. You have to the whole team needs to visualize your goal. And if your goal is to have a running car in the first year, everyone needs to believe in that goal. Yeah. And you have to make everything possible to make it work. But yeah, having being passionate about cars and the automotive industry, it really does help, because it's like you're involved in what you're if you're dreaming about cars, if you really like cars and you're developing your own car, it's like the perfect project for you. It's made for you. So yeah, it does really help. But at the same time, we also have people in the team which are not, let's say, as interested as I am on cars and racing, but they're also really passionate about the project because they can learn a lot, and they've learned a lot. So it's all about having passion and doing it with helping each other become better. So
that sounds so cool. Let's say if maybe someone of potential sponsors hears this podcast, what sponsors would you need to make progress?
Yeah, well, we've definitely reached out to, I don't know how many companies we've reached out, because it's so many, but I think it's a great opportunity, not only to help the future generations, because in the end, in a few years time, we're going to be out in the market looking for jobs in my case, on the automotive industry. So getting those companies involved in projects like this, it's really important to support this type of projects, because in the end, a lot of great, really, really great engineers come out that have worked on this project. So there's also companies that have specifically a department that they support Formula students. So that's every Formula student, you will see that they have their logo on their car, and it's because they want to support this project, and it's a really source of talent for them. So it's it would be really great if all the companies that we reach out to collaborated with us, but unfortunately that is not the case. So.
But it also trains you to accept no's, right, and to keep pushing it,
even
though they give you a no.
Exactly, it drives you to push even harder and try and make it better. So yeah, I mean, at the beginning, we most of the companies, since we were selling okay, here's my 3D design of the car, I want to do this. They were the idea is really cool, but I don't really I don't really think it's feasible, this idea, so I'm not interested. When we got onto our second year, it was like, okay, this is the car that we did last year. This is the car that we want to do this year. Okay, like if they see that you make progress and you can become better, it's like people are more interested into it. At least in our case, that's what happened. It might not be the same for everybody, but that's our experience.
I mean, the cool thing also is, let's say if you look for an internship and you already are in touch with the companies you are collaborating with,
exactly.
It's a bit easier, right, to get an internship, for instance.
Yeah, for example, it happened in my case. Like one of the sponsors like reached out. Like when we had the meeting, they told us, okay, but since we already know your profile and we like this profile, like if you're interested in doing an internship, just reach out to us and we will be happy to have you. And that's exactly what happened to me. Like I reached out to them on September, and I told him, hey, we collaborated in Formula Student project, and I would really like to do my internship at your company. And they said, absolutely no problem, you can come whenever you want. So yeah, it's a great project to be part of.
That's so cool. If potential future team members of your team listen to this podcast as well, what advice would you give them? Just go through it, apply for a position at the Formula Student team.
Exactly. Most of and I wouldn't say most, but a lot of students that may, like at the beginning of the season, they join the team, and they, after 2 or 3 months, they see how many work needs to be put into the project. They see it a bit difficult, like put it like with exams and projects and apart doing Formula Student, it's a bit, the schedule is tight. But if for example, in my case, I found like the right balance of university stuff and then Formula Student, and I managed to complement it really well. If you find that, if you can merge these two, I think you're on to like becoming a really great student, and your prospect of your career being enhanced is like really, really big. So
I want to go. Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool that you mentioned that. Maybe you can go a little bit into depth. That means if you can pick your subject in university according to what you're doing in the Formula Student team, is that what you did?
Not specifically, because in our university, for example, the subjects are already set by the program itself, so you cannot choose up until the third year. So
right.
From the third year and fourth year, you can really choose different subjects. And absolutely. Like I picked some subject that I used a lot of knowledge from those subjects to put into the Formula Student, which was great because it was like we were doing projects in the subject that I will later apply to the Formula Student, which was like easiest because I wasn't spending so much time on doing research. And so, it absolutely helped a lot to do that.
If someone sees a mentor in you and they want to reach out to you, where can they do that?
We have, from our team, we have like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We have all the social media, but I have also LinkedIn, Ferran, Martí. You can find me on social media, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or doubt that anyone may have.
That would be awesome. Like if you want to get in touch with Ferran, make sure to add him on LinkedIn. I will put your link down in the description if people are interested. Are there any last words from you that you want to spread to the world?
Not really. I mean, if you and your colleagues have the desire to start this challenge of being a Formula Student team, I'd say go for it, and because you never know what can happen. I mean, at the beginning, we didn't know we were gonna come this far. So if you would have told me 3 years ago that we would be where we are right now, I would have laughed at your face and say, go home, because that's not true. So I would absolutely recommend it.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I can really feel that you're passionate about this, and this is so part of your life already. It's it has become an essential part of my life now. So that's so cool. Yeah, I really hope that you keep on track and keep following your passion, and like also our audience who will hopefully join a Formula Student team if they are young, and follow your path, let's say. Become as passionate as you. That would be awesome. Ferran, I thank you so much for your time, and I think we'll see each other either in the second part in the future, who knows, and in the meantime we'll see each other on social media.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.